Fresh air. When I get back to Brooklyn, Maria isn't there. She's gone upstate staying with the family. Her mother tells me that has a pool. Then her mother puts a plate of food in front of me, tells me how much she knows I love her rice and chicken. When Maria returns, she is tanned and wearing a new short set. Everything about her seems different. I stayed with white people, she tells me, rich white people. The air upstate is different. It doesn't smell like anything. She hands me a piece of bubble gum with bubble yum in bright letters. This is what they chew up there. The town was called Schenectady. All the rest of summer, Maria and I buy only bubble yum and blow huge bubbles while I make her tell me story after story about the white family in Schenectady. They kept saying I was poor and trying to give me stuff. Maria says I had to keep telling them it's not poor where we live. Next summer, I say, you should just come down south. It's different there. And Maria promises she will. On the sidewalk, we draw hopscotch games and that we play using chipped pieces of slate chalk. Maria and Jackie, Maria and Jackie best friends forever. Wherever there's a smooth stone. Ride it so many times that it's hard to walk on our side of the street without looking down and seeing there. P.S. 106 Haiku. Jacqueline Woodson, I'm finally in 4th grade. It's raining outside. Learning from Langston. I love my friend. He went away from me. There's nothing more to say. The poems end soft as it began. I love my friend Langston Hughes. I love my friend and I still do. When we play games, we laugh. I hope she never goes away from me because I love my friend. Jackie Woodson. The Selfish Giant. In the story of the selfish giant, a little boy hugs a giant who has never been hugged before. The giant falls in love with the boy, but then one day the boy disappears. When he returns, he has scars on his hand and his feet just like Jesus. The giant dies and goes to paradise. The first time my teacher reads the story to the class, I cry all afternoon, and I'm still crying when my mother gets home from work that evening. She doesn't understand why I want to hear such a sad story again and again, but it takes me to the library around the corner when I beg and helps me find the book to borrow, The Selfish Giant by Oscar Wilde. I read the story again and again like the giant. I too fall in love with the Jesus boy. There's something so sweet about him I want to be his friend. Then one day my teacher asked me to come up front to read out loud, but I don't need to bring the book with me. The story of the selfish giant is in my head now, living there, remembered? Every afternoon they were coming home from school, as they were coming from school, the children used to go and play in the giant's garden. I tell the class the whole story flowing out of me, right up at the end when the boys say, these are the wounds of love. You let me play once in your garden. Today you shall come with me to my garden, which is paradise. How did you do that? My classmate asked. How did you memorize all those words? But I just shrugged, not knowing what to say. How can I explain to anyone the stories are like air to me? I breathe them in and let them out over and over again. Brilliant, my teacher says, smiling. Jackie, that was absolutely beautiful. And I know now, words are my tingaleo, words are my brilliance. The Butterfly Poem. No one believes me when I tell them I am writing a book about butterflies, even though they say me with childcraft encyclopedia. Heavy on my lap, open to the pages where the monarch, painted lady, giant swallowtail, and queen butterfly live, even one call and buckeye. When I write the first words, wings of a butterfly whisper. No one believes a whole book could ever come from something as simple as butterflies that don't even, my brother says, live that long. But on my paper, things can live forever. On paper, a butterfly never dies. 6 minutes. The sisters in the Kingdom Hall get 6 minutes to be on stage in pairs or threes, never alone. We have to write skits or wherever we are visiting another sister or maybe a non-believer. Sometimes the play takes place at their pretend kitchen table, and sometimes we are in the pretend living room. But in real life, we are just folding chairs, sitting on the Kingdom Hall stage. The first time I have to give my talk, I ask if I can write it myself without anyone's help. There are horses and cows in my story, even though the main point is supposed to be the story of the resurrection. Say, for instance, I write we have a cow and a horse that we love. Is death the end of the life for those animals? When my mother reads those lines, she shakes her head. You are getting away from the topic, she says. You have to take animals out of it. Get right to the point. Start with people. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with the fabulous, more interesting part of my story. When the horses and cows start speaking to me and each other, how even though they are old and won't live much longer, they aren't afraid. You only have 6 minutes, my mother says, and no, you can't get up and walk across the stage to make your point. The talk has to be given. Your talk has to be given. Sitting down. So I start again, rewriting. Good afternoon, sister. I'm here to bring you some good news today. Did you know God's word is absolute? If we turn to John chapter 5, verses 28 and 29, promising myself there will come a time when I can use the rest of my story and stand when I tell it, and give myself and my horses and my cows a whole lot more times than 6 minutes. First book. There are 7 of them. Haikus, mostly but rhyming ones, 2 not even enough for a real book, until I cut each page into a small square, staple the squares together, write one poem on each page, Butterflies by Jacqueline Woodson on the front. The butterfly book complete now. John's Bargain Store. Down Knickerbocker Avenue is where everyone on the block goes to shop. There's a pizzeria if you get hungry, 75 cents a slice. There's an ice cream shop where cones cost a quarter. There's a Fabco shop. There's Fabco shoes store and beauty parlor. A Woolworth's five and dime and John Bargain store. For a long time, I don't put one foot inside Woolworths. They wouldn't let black people eat at their lunch counters in Greenville. I tell Maria, no way are they getting my money. So instead, Maria and I go to John's Bargain Store where 3 t-shirts cost $1. We buy them in pale pink, yellow, and baby blue. Each night we make a plan wear your yellow one tomorrow, Maria says, and I'll wear mine. All year long we dress alike, walking up and down Madison Street, waiting for someone to say, "Are you guys cousins?" So we can smile and say, "Can't you tell from looking at us?" New girl. Then one day a new girl moves in next door, tells us her name is Deanna, and becomes me and Maria's second best friend in the whole world. Even though Maria's mother knew Deanna's mother in Puerto Rico, Maria promises that doesn't make Diana más mejor amiga, a better friend. But some days when it's raining and Mama won't let me go outside, I see them on the block, their fingers laced together, heading around the corner to the bodega for candy. Those days the world feels as gray, as cold as it really is, and it's hard not to believe the new girl isn't más mejor than me. Hard not to believe. My days as Maria's best friend forever and ever, amen, are counted. Pastels and Pernal. When Maria's brother Carlos gets baptized, he is just a tiny baby in a white lace gown with so many $20 bills folded into fans pinned all over it that he looks like a green and white angel. Maria and I stand over his crib talking about the candy we could buy with just one of those fans, but we know that God is watching and don't even dare to touch the money. In the kitchen there is pernil roasting in the oven, the delicious smell filling the house, and Maria says, "You should just eat a little bit." But I am not allowed to eat pork. Instead, I wait for pastels to get passed around, wait for the ones her mother has filled with chicken for Jackie, mi ahada. Wait for the moment when I can peel the paper away from my crushed plantain-covered meat, break off small pieces with my hand, and let the pastel melt in my mouth.